Thank you, Chairperson. So once again, by thanking the Chairperson and Co-Chairperson, let me enlighten you how to structure the manuscript for publication in Web of Science, Science Citation Index Expanded, Q1 top tier journals. So my name is Dr. Balakumar, currently holding the position of Director at the Office of Research and Development from Periyar Maniammai Institute of Science and Technology, deemed to be University, Tanjavur. So the purpose of this particular presentation is to share knowledge, to exchange ideas, and to learn from one another, and to fill the gaps what you have while you are structuring your manuscript for a successful publication in a journal of international repute. That is, I told, Web of Science, Science Citation Index Expanded, top tier Q1 journal. Anything less other than this. Dear delegates, scientists must not only do science, but must also write science. Of course, you might be a very good researcher, spending whole night in the laboratory. End of the day, if you do not publish your paper, your research is still considered incomplete. But nowadays, even if you have published your paper in a Q1 journal, if you do not receive citation, still it is incomplete. Over the year, after you have successfully published your paper, make sure that your paper receives number of citations. It means people are referring your paper, eventually citing your paper. For example, you are a PhD scholar, one of your paper is cited 10 times. You have done really a good job. So you have to make sure a quality kind of work that is to be published in a journal of international repute. Research outcomes are measured through quality publications. So look at this one. The research starts with a question. Before you start a research, you must identify the problem. This is the problem that I am going to rectify. Why the research is done? To solve a problem. How to solve a problem? So you should come up with a question first. Then you should go through the powerful, wonderful, constructive literature search. That is watch. Then you have to explain it. Make a hypothesis, as Dr. Jagdish told. Then you have to analyze, test it. You will get a results. You have to analyze it using statistics, like Dr. Hasara told. Then you have to come up with a conclusion based on the results, and that result should be reproducible. If anyone does that experiment, it should be reproducible. So this makes the science, and that is a part of, the research. You will face three kinds of problem while you are trying to publish your paper. The number one problem is typographical and grammatical syntax errors. So make sure that while you are submitting your paper should be free from any kind of grammatical and typographical syntax error. Don't submit your paper as soon as you complete it. Read it for 50 times, maybe more than that. Don't hurry. You read it 50 times. Make sure that your paper does not have even a single mistake. A period also, a full stop also. And make sure that all the references are properly cited. Now you should start submitting your paper for its successful processing. The second problem that you might face is structural inconsistency. Some journal might ask you to come up with a Harvard style of references, some Vancouver style, APA style, Modern Language Association. The number of referencing style, you have to follow the instruction carefully. Every journals have instruction for more than 20 pages. You read it overnight. Then structure the manuscript accordingly. Someone might ask you to come up with a 150 worded abstract, but you are submitting with a 200 worded abstract. That will irritate the editors like us. I am standing in front of you as an editor of pharmacological research that carries 9.1 impact factor, a Q1 top tier journal. The third problem is the scope of the paper, journal. You must make sure that before you submit your paper should be within the scope of the journal where you are going to submit. If it is not in the scope, right away your paper will be rejected. Desk rejection. It means your paper has not been sent to peer reviewer for any external reviews. You will be submitting your paper by today 7 o'clock. Next 1 hour or next day morning, you will get a decision letter that we are sorry to inform you. So make sure that your paper is within the scope of the journal where you are going to submit. The fourth problem is most of the students and faculty members, knowingly or unknowingly, they submit the paper in predatory journals. Predatory publications, journals are publishing your paper within 3 days to 1 week without getting it peer reviewed, and they expect only money from your pocket. So do not submit your paper in a predatory or hijacked or cloned journal. Dr. Subhadha Nagarkar will be talking about this topic. Look at this one. Research institutions are falling down on the job of providing basic education in scholarly publishing norm. That is the purpose of conducting this session. We want to provide the basic education for all the delegates who are attending this prestigious 73rd Annual Conference of Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. The predatory and cloned hijacked journals are creating pseudoscience. You should not waste your money. Your data will not be considered trustworthy if you have published your paper in the predatory journals, and they are polluting the science. They are the hydra of publications. Means no one can eradicate the predatory journals unless until you stop submitting your paper to predatory journals. So it is your mistake if you publish your paper in a predatory journals. So based on this one, we have published a paper in Nature that carries a 64.8 impact factor. India, neutralizing temptation by predatory journal. We have conducted more than 500 workshops throughout India. So based on that one, we have written a paper and it was eventually published in Nature. It is available. You can start reading this one after this session. Earlier people, in academics, before 2000, 1995 to 2000, they have said that all the faculty members should publish the paper. Okay. Then they said that you have to publish a paper, otherwise you will be perished. Means you will be no more in the academic in 2000. Then in 2010, what they said, you have to publish that too in a high impact journal. Otherwise you will be perished. So now what they are saying, you have to publish frequently in a high impact journal. Every year 2 papers to meet the requirement of NAAC or NBA or other ranking accreditation bodies. So what I am suggesting that every faculty members, you should start publishing your paper in a high impact journal. Otherwise, we will no more will be in the academics. No promotion and other benefits. So every faculty members, they wanted to publish their paper. What is the end result? More than 10,000 papers were retracted last year. It is in the history of publications. The Nature published more than 10,000 paper. Indexed paper. Indexed in Web of Science, Science Citation Index expanded, or Social Sciences Citation Index, or Arts or Humanities Citation Index, or Emerging Sources Citation Index. So everyone start trying to publish, but end of the day they do not know where to publish. And many people, they are paying money through paper mill. Paper mill is a mill. People generate the paper and invite the author for money. First author 5,000 rupees, second author this one, that one. You fill the third author position, you will get a paper. That is paper mill. Your paper will likely to be retracted. More chances are there. Most of the retracted papers come from paper mills. So you have to be very careful. You should never encourage such kind of malpractice. Dr. Subhadha will be talking. Citation of retracted article. Suppose you are citing 40 references in your paper and some of the papers are already retracted. Be careful. There are machine learning and deep learning available with the major publisher like elsewhere. We use MARS, machine learning referencing system, which will clearly identify that this paper is a retracted paper. This paper is not a valid source. So accordingly, your paper will not go through the gatekeepers, will be right away rejected. And you don't know that why my paper is rejected because we won't tell the reason. We simply, by default, you will get a result, the email that we are sorry to inform you. So keep in your mind. Citations of retracted article, prevention is better than cure. So for everything, there must be a outcome. What is the outcome of my presentation? Why do we need to publish in an index journal? The art and science of scientific writing, I will cover very briefly. Then how to successfully publish your manuscript. I think someone should move the slide. So let me start from the title. That is the first part of your manuscript. Title may be of 3 types. Descriptive title. It is also known as indicative title or neutral title. Means you are describing what kind of study your paper is. See the example. You are describing simply effect of paracetamol. It's a simple example. Effect of paracetamol in the management of mild to moderate headaches in migraine patient. We don't know the effect because you are not declaring the result. On the other hand, if you declare the result in the title itself, that is declarative title. The second one, declarative title or informative title. Effect of, paracetamol relieves mild to moderate headaches in migraine patients. So you are declaring the title itself, the results. And most of the journal, top tier journal, they expect you to declare the results to receive attraction. I mean attention followed by citations. Next means interrogative title. See, interrogative title means your title as a question. But in my opinion, don't come up with such kind of title unless you are writing a review article. Okay? Does paracetamol relieve mild to moderate headaches in migraine patient? Such kind of title can be good for writing a review article, but not for research paper. For research paper, come up with a declarative title. Next. Look at the title. Curcumin as a cure cumin. Curcumin is a component of turmeric. It cures from kitchen to clinic. See, the simple paper got cited more than 1800 times. It's a commentary article. See the title. It's a mouth-watering title. Next. A century-old renin-angiotensin system. Means the title itself says that it is a century-old system. Look at the information. That grows with the endless possibility. There is no end. Earlier in the 1940s, they discovered angiotonin, angiotensin, then angiotensin 1, 2, 3, 4, then angioprotectin, angiotensin 1 to 7. Many compounds, many peptides. Still it is growing endlessly. So the site title. It was accepted without any revision along with Dr. Jagdish. Next. See, submaximal PPAR gamma activation means partial PPAR gamma. You can coin the term in the title itself. Probably we might be the first people to come up with the word submaximal. It was published with great appreciation from British Journal of Pharmacology. Next. So see the declarative title. Possible involvement of PPAR gamma associated ENA signaling activation in rosuvastatin mediated prevention of nicotine induced experimental vascular endothelial abnormalities from molecular cellular biochemistry, where Dr. Professor N.S. Dalla is the chief. The title itself, we have declared everything. You do not need to read anything. If you have a time, you can read the abstract. Accordingly, the article can get a citation. So, you declare everything in the title. Do not need to worry about the lengthy title. Next. Look at this title. The combined strategy with PPAR alpha agonism and AT1 receptor antagonism is not superior relative to their individual treatment approach in preventing the induction of nephropathy in diabetic wraith. Everything is declared in the title. Pharmacological research having 10 impact factor. Next. So after the title, you provide the author name, affiliation, the corresponding author detail. That's all. The first page. Second page, abstract. Immediately start with the abstract, and maybe abstract may be a structured or unstructured. Don't start suddenly with the aim of the present study. The first sentence of abstract should be what prior knowledge there is about the topic in relation to the particular paper. What is unknown about the topic, and thus what does the study aim to investigate, or what the journal article aims to present. So you pitch the problem statement in the first line, and that problem is going to be solved by your study. Then write the objective, but don't take more than 2 sentences, because you are restricted with only 200 or 250 words of abstract unless you are submitting your paper to Social Sciences Citation Index journal. That might allow you to come up with the 300, 350 words also. But SCAE, Science Citation Index Expanded Journal will not allow you more than 250. Even British Journal of Pharmacology like journal, they may allow you only 150 words. So you have to be more focused. One sentence problem statement followed by next. Methods, couple of sentence. Next. Results should be the largest portion of the abstract. Wherever you want to write a result, you write a numerical value also. Like Dr. Hasra told, P value less than this one, compared with this one, percentage variation. So, as editor, we should see some kind of numerical values on the abstract. Don't write only the sentences. Populate it with so many numerical value in the methods result section. Next. Conclusion. The most important takeaway message from the study, that is primary outcome, should be summarized in a few carefully selected lines and placed in this section. Additional significant or even surprising findings should also be mentioned. So do not cite any references in the abstract. Don't cite any references. Next. So structured and unstructured. Structured, that there should have 4 components: background, method, results, conclusion. The same thing is written without any structure, that is unstructured abstract. So abstract, after the abstract, you try to provide 5 to 6 keywords. Make sure that all the keywords would come from MES. MES means medical subject heading. That is a component of PubMed Medline maintained by NCBI, National Center for Biology Information, PubMed Medline, National Institute of Health. So all the keyword should be extracted from MES. Before you enter your keyword, try to find out through MES whether the keyword is there in the MES or not. MES is medical subject heading. Why we are coming up with the keyword? If someone searches with that keyword, your paper will appear. Eventually your paper will be cited. If your paper is cited, the journal will get more impact factor. The impact factor is all depending upon the citation of the paper what they are publishing. So make sure that your keywords should come from MES database. MES is medical subject heading. Next. Then you can start with your classical sections. Introduction, materials and methods, results and discussion. Conclusion is the part of discussion. So these are the 4 key components of your research paper. Abstract should be standalone. Abstract should be standalone. Introduction, why did you start your study? Method, what did you do? Results, what did you find? And discussion, what does it all mean? I am going to discuss in another 20-25 minutes. Next. Use present tense in the introduction. Introduction is written based on the existing literature. Propranolol is a beta blocker. You cannot write propranolol was a beta blocker. Write in a present tense. Because you have referred everything through the existing literature. You come up with a hypothesis from the existing literature. You are coming up with the questions from existing literature. And you are also finding the problem to be rectified based on the existing literature. So, introduction should be written in present tense. Method you have performed, we carried out, we performed, we analyzed. Write in past tense. And as an editor, we could see some methods are written in future tense. We will. When you will, then how you did submit your paper to a journal? Such a small mistake will yield a result of desk rejection. Keep in your mind. Results. Past tense, mostly past tense and sometime present tense. This figure shows. This table shows. Can be a present tense. Then finally, discussion again present tense and sometime present perfect tense. Don't write anything past tense. Avoid writing using passive voice. Write in active voice. I eat mango. That's all. 3 words. The mango is eaten by me. It was carried out by us. No, we carried out. Directly write a direct sentence, simple sentence. Sentence should be a short. Don't write a lengthy sentence that will complicate the readers to read your paper. Eventually, they may not understand your paper. And finally, you will not get a citation. The end result of your research is citation, not even publication. Even if you have published your paper in a Scopus Index journal, if it is 100 times cited, it is better than that you have done a publication than Nature. Keep in your mind. Next. So these are the key steps. Next. You have to first identify the research problem. Based on the research gap, you have to formulate the research question. Then you have to do the literature search. A lot of literature search engines are available. Then you have to come up with the ideas, divergent, followed by convergent, means creative thinking, followed by critical thinking. Next, you have to reach with the critical thinking, a one best idea to solve a problem. Although you have 10 or 15 ideas, then you have to generate the hypothesis, followed by you have to come up with the aims and objectives, what Dr. Jagdish said. Next. So these are the various search engines which are available for people from pharmacy field, medical field, biomedical field, science direct from elsewhere, PubMed Medline. JAN we have, it is the sister concern of PubMed Medline. All the PubMed Medline article will be retrieved through JAN, freely available. Journal, author name, estimator. MBS, it is medically for, mainly for medical fraternity. People from medical field, they used to consider the journal published in MBS, I mean MBS indexing. Then SciFinder, Sinagil, IPA, Scopus, Google Scholar, PubLimet, PubGum, Merkindex, Pharmapendium, American Hospital Formulary System, Drug Information, Fact and Comparison, e-answer, Micromedax, Drugs at FDA, ToxNet, DSS Talks. So number of, databases are available. You might need to take a photo if you need. Next. So literature search. So that is a part of your introductory session, section. You have to use snowballing. Snowballing is a process where suppose you are referring a paper from Q1 journal. That paper, you go to directly the reference section and see how many references are related to your paper. Just tick it. For example, 10 papers are related to the area of what you are going to do research. So take the 10 paper. So that kind of method is backward reference tracking. And see that paper was cited by how many times. And see the citation. And if you go through that citation, because that might be relevant to your work, that is known as forward citation tracking. So one paper can yield 20 paper. That 20 paper can yield 150 paper. That 150 paper can yield 200 paper. So such kind of snowballing, But the thing is, you have to identify one best paper from Q1 journal. If you do snowballing, you will get many papers. And show me the file to your guide. Don't read through mobile phone or laptop. Okay? Take a printout and start reading. Next. So these are the components of snowballing. Next. So let us start writing an introduction now. The start should be with the overview of your topic with the prevalence data. Diabetes mellitus is a leading disorder. Its incidence is enormously increasing. So write the prevalence data. 34.5 million people have been like that from the US FDA data. That should be the start of the problem statement in the introduction, followed by prior research. You have to come up with a research question. Then justification for your research, where you can write your hypothesis. And finally, objectives. Don't write introduction section more than 1.5 pages. Maybe it can be even 1 page, no problem. But don't write a lengthy introduction section of 4 or 5 pages. Editors are not having time to read your introduction, as well as the reviewers. Next. So these are the components of introduction. You should mention the background and significance. You should identify the specific target. You should identify the niche area, that gap, what you are going to address in your study. What results are expected? And how could the expected results contribute to the field advancement? Everything should be the part of introduction section. And you have to state the hypothesis and how the hypothesis is tested. Then finally research questions which are going to be answered in this particular study. Then aims and objectives. Then design, all things. So these are the part of components of introduction section. Next. Better no more than 500 words. Most recent references are needed to be cited. Don't cite 1947 or 67 references. Of course, it may be needed. But still, you try to cite. For example, you are writing introduction section with the 15 references. Make sure that 70% of the references are from recent sources. 2024, 23, 22. And try to cite your own references if the work is a follow-up of your study, previous study. Don't unnecessarily cite your own paper that is not relevant to the study. That is a self-citation. And 20% of self-citations are allowed. For example, your manuscript has 50 references. 10% means 5 references. 20% means, accordingly you can calculate, 2 references. Okay? So don't cite more than 20% of your own references, although it is relevant. Next. So this is the research onion model, which was coined by Sander. 7 layers are there, starting with the philosophy, approaches, strategy, choices, time horizon, technique. So you have to follow such kind of research onion model while you are writing a research methodology section. Next. Look at this one, philosophy, the fundamental nature of knowledge, existence, reality. Then approaches, what kind of approach you are going to do, inductive or deductive. Inductive means hypothesis. Deductive means you are proving the hypothesis by experiments. Next, what kind of study is yours? Whether it is a survey study or experimental or case study. Then what kind of methods that you are going to use? Mono method or multi method or mixed method. Then whether it is a cross-sectional study or longitudinal study. Cross-sectional means at the end you will get the data. Longitudinal means in between you are getting the data. Day 1, day 3, day 5, day 10, day 20. Cross-sectional means you will sacrifice the animals or end of the day you will get the data. That's all. One data. Next, technique. How to collect the data and what test you are going to apply. These all are the components of methodology section. Next. Look at this one. Positivism, interpretivism, pragmatism. So these 3 components should be addressed in your study. And interpretivism is inductive. I mean hypothesis. For example, you are publishing a case study. It might be because of this one. But you have not proven. When you are going to prove that one, that is a deductive, quantitative, positivism through experiment. And both can be mixed. That is explanatory and descriptive. That is pragmatism. You have to clearly identify in your methodology section what kind of study. Most of the people, they do not follow. But if you follow this, definitely your paper will go through and pass the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are none other than editors and reviewers. That's all. They will be very pleased to see your paper. Next. For example, inductive. See here, every dog I meet is friendly. So what hypothesis you are making? Most of the dogs are friendly. It's a hypothesis, but not proven. Whereas in deductive, look at this one. All mammals have backbone. Humans are mammals. It means humans have backbone. You are concluding with evidence. That is deductive. What kind of study is yours? Whether inductive or deductive. Mentioned in the methodology section by using Sanders onion research onion model. You can say that the methodology section follows the Sanders research onion model. We will be happy. Next. So like Dr. Hasra already told, data, what kind of data your study will have? Whether nominal or ordinal. Nominal means you should use a chi-square test, interval ratio, all the parametric. Now you have to mention research methodology, I mean statistical analysis. The results shall be expressed as mean standard deviation, plus or minus standard deviation. All the data were analyzed using one way ANOVA, followed by Tukey's multiple comparison test. If they are passing the, parametric test. If they are not normally distributed, go for a non-parametric. Crooksall-Wallis test, followed by Dunn test. Everything you should mention. Next. So this one, that workshop we have conducted in 2012 Indian Pharmaceutical Congress in Chennai. So this we have published in the Journal of Pharmacology and Pharmacotherapeutics, freely available. So what kind of data you have, what kind of tests should be applied, everything is there in one simple picture. If you understand this picture, you will become a good in statistics. Next. So you have to express the result sequentially according to the order what you have mentioned in the methodology, followed by discussion. Look at the components of discussion. The first point should be start the discussion by stating the major finding. Sir, major finding should be stated in only conclusion section. No. You should state the major finding at the start of your discussion section. We have performed this and we have observed this. Don't write the conclusion. Based on the observation, you are concluding in the conclusion section. But major finding, you should start discussion with the major finding, followed by highlight whether null hypothesis is rejected or accepted. If it is rejected, there are differences. If it is accepted, there is no difference between the group. Then discuss the results in relevance to the previous body of literature. Yes, our results are, it is consistent with the previous studies. It is not consistent with the previous result. If it is so, then you have to provide a proper reason for that. Through existing literature, citing most specific references. The previous work may be discussed that is in support or against the results obtained in the current study. Next. You have to express coherently the uniqueness of the study. Wherever you mention, the results are unique. This is unique, that one unique. So uniqueness of study is very much important. You cannot report now that paracetamol can relieve fever, which was reported 200 years back. So uniqueness should be there. A brief discussion on the principle and the superiority method employed in the study. You can use, for example, ELISA also you can use. You can use Western blotting also use. Which one is better? Western blotting. The superiority of the method that you have employed should be properly pitched out in the discussion section. Fine? You can use simply colorimetric assay also for everything. Discuss unexpected results. See, most of the time, we do not discuss unexpected results. When we are doing some research in Malaysia, we were able to find out dipedamol can increase the food intake. And it was not reported earlier. I searched thoroughly through the literature, no evidence was there. But we were able to note those dipedamol group that the rats had eaten more pellets. So that kind of unexpected result also can be written in discussion section. That makes more sense. Non-specific, loose and sweeping statements should be strictly avoided. Strictly avoided. No generalized statement. Discuss the strength and major pitfalls. For example, your study might have a lot of strength. There must be some limitation. Before the reviewers raise question, you write the pitfalls of the study. Limitation of the study before just to the conclusion. So that the reviewer will not raise that question. Otherwise, they will raise the question and your paper may also be rejected or will be kept under major revision. Next. Discuss the relevance of the obtained result to the current practice and finally end up the section by discussing the key finding, the need for additional studies. In general, use mostly the present tense and active voice while writing the discussion section. Next. So these are the component of conclusion. 3 components should be there in the conclusion. Don't forget. Number 1, in summary, we have demonstrated. What you have demonstrated? You write. Based on this finding, we suggest. What you suggest? You write. However, nevertheless, further studies are needed to examine. You open a new way for another study. Don't stop the study by full stop. However, further studies are needed. So these are the simple 3 things, but I would recommend you to write, you come up with the 7 points or 6 points to write a conclusion. Next, these are the 6 points. Look at this one. If your conclusion section is having this all 6 points, editors like us will be extremely happy to consider your paper. First point, in this study, we address the current progress and challenges. In summary, the present study reveals, demonstrates. These findings provide new insights. Your findings should provide a new insight, should be unique. Based on these findings, we confirm or we propose or we recommend. Nevertheless, further studies are required. Don't stop here. If further studies are required, the editor or reviewer will ask, do that further study and resubmit the manuscript. Look at last point. Though additional studies are needed, the present study contributes to a better understanding. Though additional studies are needed, the study done by you contributes to the better understanding of the existing knowledge. So that point should be the last point of your concluding remarks. Next. Citations are not necessary in the conclusion section because conclusion section is written based on your own result. Don't cite any citation, any references in the conclusion section that will show your immaturity in publishing. Your own study finding as provided in the scientific publication are the basis for your conclusion. Citations are therefore unnecessary and irrelevant. Next. So reference. After the conclusion section, there are other sections also, the minor sections we will discuss later. Referencing. So might be how you might need to follow Harvard or Vancouver. Next. Harvard means name and title. Year. Vancouver means 1, 2, 3. Next. See 1, 2, 3. According to this order, you have to order the references in the section. If it is Harvard, alphabetically you have to provide the references in the reference section. Next. 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 Every statement must have a reference. For suppose you are writing a discussion or you are writing an introduction, every statement must have a reference. For example, DNA is a double-stranded helical molecule. Don't write Ramasamy et al. 2023. Of course, the Ramasamy et al. Paper might have that DNA is a double-stranded. Write on Watson Creek, the reference. So it shows your expertise on that area. G protein contributes most of the drug action in cardiovascular disorder. Right? A Gilman who discovered G protein. Nitric oxide is a powerful vasodilator that is nothing but endogenous derived relaxing factor. Right? Furchikot and Zavadsky who published a paper in Nature. Don't cite any irrelevant references. As editor, we can clearly find out. These all references are irrelevant. Not a relevant references. So the authors are not matured enough to write a scientific paper for our journal. Must be desk rejected. Within a day, we will make a decision.
Within 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you, sir. Next. So various kind of MLA, APA, SIR, Chicago style. These are Vancouver style. Notation system is known as Vancouver and parenthetical is also known as Harvard. Next. So look at this one. This is known as MARS, Machine Learning Referencing System. Look at this one. Total citation 35. The author have submitted. Valid reference are 21. Remaining reference are 10 reference are 14 reference are invalid. Means system is unable to check. It means you have cited some predatory or cloned paper or hijacked paper. Keep in your mind. Out of 35, only 21 references are valid. It means rest of the all references are invalid. Your paper will meet the desk rejection. Every month we receive, 500 papers. Last year itself we received more than 6,000 papers. But we were able to process, only 10 or 12 papers per month. You just recall what is the rejection rate of the journal, Q1 journal. Next. When the day you are publishing your paper in a Q1 journal, you become a researcher. Suppose you have published, you are telling that I have published 10 papers, all from Q3 or Q4 or Scopus. Still, you are an incomplete researcher. You count on the day that you have published your paper in a Q1 journal, you completely become the researcher. Publishing Q1 is very competitive unless you are fully trained. So these are the checklist. Look at this one, cover letter, graphical abstract. Abstract should be drawn without any sentence. Then abstract, then manuscript. So title should be there, author detail, affiliation, correspondence. List of abbreviations. Suppose your manuscript has more than 10 abbreviations. It qualifies for a separate section after the abstract. Then highlights. Come up with the highlights, 4 or 5 points, bullet point. Not having more than 80 characters. Highlights are more important. Then all the conflict of interest, credit author statement, funding detail, references, followed by figures, tables. Don't include any figures and tables in the manuscript. Upload them separately. But the figure legend and a table legend provide after the references. Don't include any figure and a table that shows your immaturity. Then finally, some boxes you might need to provide. Then declaration form, conflict of interest form, then contact details of all author, including ORC ID, open researcher and contributor ID. Next. Next. Select the journal, review submission guidelines, prepare the high quality manuscript, address if anything, your manuscript is under revision, review your comments, understand the subscription mode. You can go to Sherpa Romeo. Sherpa Romeo is the forum where you can find out whether the journal provides green open access or gold open access. If it is green open access, you do not need to pay money. If it is a gold open access or platinum or silver open access, you need to pay money. So number of journals are available with the green open access also. Not all open access journal will ask you money. So through Sherpa Romeo, you can find out. Check the journal indexing, whether it is included in Web of Science, Science Citation Index expanded. According to University Grant Commission, there are two Group 1, Group 2 journal. Group 1 journals are not globally recognized. Group 2 journals are globally recognized. Scopus and Web of Science. You should say Web of Science and Scopus. Web of Science, 4 databases. SCAE, SSCA, AGCA, ESCA. And under SCAE, SSCA, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So these are all it indicates the quality of the journals. Next, build a strong authorship team. Strong authorship team. The seniority author that always, make the editor to favorably consider your manuscript. That is, of course, the publication bias. Present original and significant research. Be persistent and patient. Contribute significantly to the science. Next. So what the editor will finally look into your manuscript. Does your manuscript have attractive title? Is the work having uniqueness? Is the paper from a reputed lab? Publishing from Harvard is very simple. It's a reputed lab. Will it receive attention of more readers? Then only more chances of citation. Does the manuscript strictly follow the guidelines? Of course, your paper, your way is there with elsewhere, but not with every publisher. With elsewhere, your paper, your way is there. It means you can submit your paper at any form. But once you are receiving the revision, you got to follow the instruction. Is the submitted manuscript well written? Everything. These all things will be seen by the editors. Next. Don't use any contraction in the manuscript. Don't, can't, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't. Don't use any contraction in the manuscript. Avoid using there is, there are. There are number of studies. No, number of studies. Simply you can stop. Why there is, there are. Avoid using really. It is really interesting to note that. Why really interesting? You do not need to say it really interesting. You say extremely. No need. Don't write a lot of, number of. Don't write so. Instead of so, you can write hence, therefore. So these words should not be seen in your manuscript. Use active voice. Don't write any sentence in passive voice. And use strong verb. We made an objection. We objected. We gave assistance. We assisted. We conducted an investigation. We investigated directly. Come up with a strong verb. Next. 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 So last part, desk rejection, how to avoid the desk rejection for your manuscript. Next. What is desk rejection? You are submitting your paper today and tomorrow you are getting a decision that your paper is rejected. That is desk rejection. Means your paper has not been sent to the peer reviewer for consideration. Next. So these are the 20 points, one by one. Edit, at least proofread your manuscript, your English. Read your manuscript 50 times before you submit your manuscript. Don't be hurry. Otherwise, you have to submit your manuscript to 50 journals subsequently. Still, your manuscript will not be accepted. Keep in your mind. Use active voice. Have all co-authors check and sign it off. Make sure that the manuscript has a relevant title. Relevant title, very important. Next. You should follow the guidelines. Make sure that abstract is concise. Put the abstract in the right structure, starting with the research question. Do a graphical abstract. Whether they ask or not, you submit the graphical abstract. Next. Make sure that your study should contain novel or innovative aspect. No reference should be in the abstract. Use recent references. Don't go for more than 50 references for your research paper. Keep in your mind. And less than 25 references, don't go for. In between 25 to 50 references, that makes a good manuscript. Use recent references. 70% reference should be recent reference. Then only your study is considered update. If you keep all references 1990, your study is outdated. Content and structure should fit the journal scope. Image style. Next. Make life easier for the journal editor. Follow the instruction. Next. Do not communicate the editor frequently. You are submitting a manuscript, wait for 3 months. Don't communicate the editor next week. What is the status? What is the status? You might catch the editor on a bad day. They might reject your paper. Keep in your mind. Hypothesis must be very clear. The study should use acceptable methodology. You cannot use, for example, we have performed annexin staining for kidney section. Annexin is only for in vitro, not for in vivo. We could see some papers. I don't know how they have performed because that methodology is unacceptable. Make sure that your methodology is acceptable using your research onion model standards. Prove that you are up to date. Recent reference 2024 July 6th. That paper some paper must have been published. You cite it at last minute. Figures and captions should be clear. Don't include any figure in the manuscript. Next. Reference should be comprehensive and in the right format. Not too few, not too many. I mean not more than 50, not less than 25. A good cover letter will sell your paper. 1 page cover letter. Don't write cover page for 3 pages. No editor will have time to read. Next. So these are the component of cover letter. Must have a statement. Come. Just next. Original unpublished. Not submitted to any journal. Don't submit your paper at a time to 2 different journals. According to Angel Finger rule, you should not. Otherwise, it is a scientific misconduct. Your paper will be retracted in both journals if they find out later on. Then outline of the work or your author contribution. Don't include 15 authors in your manuscript. If you are a PhD student, you and your guide, that's all. If co-guide is there in between, you should be the first author. Guide should be the corresponding author. Most of the PhD students, they are submitting their paper their own. It is again misconduct. It's again misconduct. You should never submit your paper without the permission of the guide. Conflict of interest. Any financial, anything, you should mention it. Next. Treat the rejection as your fault, not the editor fault. Suppose you are receiving the rejection, what nonsense the editors are. Don't scold them. It is your fault. The manuscript is rejected based on the reviewer comments. Lot of factors will play a role. We will not be able to declare everything to you. Next. Writing a good manuscript is not an easy process. It is a tough process. It is a soft skill you have to develop during your master and PhD. Your paper is worthless if it is not cited. Next. Another 5 slides only. These are the gatekeepers you have to pass through. Administrator, receiving editor, chief. Chief will assign associate editor. We are among one of them. Associate editors. Then we will assign to 2 to 8 reviewers. I used to assign to 15 reviewers. So that 5-6 comments will be there. Next. Avoid publishing predatory journal. Always publish in SCAE. Science citation index expanded. Top tier. Web of Science. Q1 journal. Enhance the citation index and H index. These are the metrics. Next. Conclusion. Your paper's likelihood of acceptance increases if it describes the field advancing the research. If it is expertly written and formatted without having even a single grammatical typographical error. If it speaks in a clear and concise manner, a short sentence, a simple English. A person from Uganda, a person from New Zealand, a person from US, everyone should be able to read your paper and cite your paper. Don't only write a complicated English. Follow the ethics and free from any scientific misconduct. If you want to use any figure of published source, use a permission. Use a permission from CCC. Copyright Clearance Center. Okay, that is a separate lecture how to get a permission. Next. It takes commitment and perseverance to prepare a strong article. Journal editor might have a different opinion and preferences. Sometimes you just may catch them on a bad day. If your work is strong, look for a different target journal. Be open to criticism. Don't scold the editors and reviewers. If your paper is rejected, improve your paper based on the reviewer comments. Then resubmit to elsewhere. Don't submit to more than one journal. Keep in your mind. Okay. Next. So these are various reports of symposium workshop that we have conducted in India. So you can put my name. You can download a number of papers to read, understand the presentation of mine. You can keep on running. You can keep on running, moving. So workshop report 2007 from IPS, Mohali Naipar, along with Dr. Murthy from Drexel University, Jagdish from US FDA. So another one conducted on behalf of Indian Pharmaceutical Congress 2011. Another one Indian Pharmaceutical Congress 2012. And this is the recent one. These are the recent one, IPS one, IPS, IPC one, IPS. Last one. So the current one. So various report. The recent one from Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine. It's a recent book we have published along with Dr. Jagdish, having 1000 pages. Initially, you may get a rejection. Every researcher will get a rejection. Even Krebs' paper was rejected, you know. Henselid Krebs, who got a Nobel Prize. His paper was rejected by Nature. Later on, When you improve your soft skill, definitely all of your paper will be accepted. You will get a success. And once again, I thank the organizer for giving me an opportunity to interact with the delegates. Thank you.
Before I conclude, I have the announcement that Dr. Balakumar is here. You can interact with him during the lunch session. He is running short of time for having the question answer. So, thank you so much, sir, for providing the art of manuscript writing for the successful publications, given the perspective view of the editors as well, and doing and writing the research. Thank you so much.